turn it up, turn it up. What up, what up? Yeah. Grab your chair, put up a seat, yeah. Welcome to the Atheist Round Table. We just the dudes that you knew for poking holes in all these fables. Yeah. See, we're just some atheists that got questions like, why does God kill babies with cancer? Hopefully, you can bring some answers. We'll sit back and take notes. Go ahead. Welcome to the Atheist Round Table. Welcome to the Atheist Round Table. Okay. Turn it up, turn it up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Atheist Round Table, part of the Atheist Network Group. And this is a late night call-in show. And I thought we'd have a little fun. It's Friday night. It's a holiday weekend, so I know everybody's up. I know people ain't in bed yet. Right, Shane?
Yep, I should be in bed myself, right? But no, you guys know I'm a night owl. I'm always up already, so
I had no idea it was a holiday weekend.
Yeah, every single year. I was talking about this yesterday because everyone at the store I work at was talking about, an order coming in for Memorial Day weekend. And I'm like, okay, literally every year, I know nothing about Memorial Day weekend until like 2 days before it, maybe a day before it. You're like, oh, okay, that's why everything's busy right now. Makes sense.
Yeah, and my up until COVID, my 6 years, something like that, in the furniture business, all of they call them your flagpole events are all based around those holidays, your big sales days. So they're like they're ingrained in my brain now. They never were, before, but they're now ingrained in my brain. But anyway, as always, I'm Oz, and then we got Biddy Buddha with us tonight. Biddy, how you doing?
Good. I did my makeup in like 5 minutes. It's a record because you texted me right before.
Me too. I'm glad we both can get it. Glad we both get it done in record time. And then we have a friend of mine, and we actually talk on a very regular basis via Facebook chat, and I learn a lot from him. But Shane the Skeptic, he's a goddamn beast out here. If you don't know him, you better know him. If not, then you're an idiot. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you. I will say I didn't have time to put makeup on, but I did cut my hair in like 10 minutes. I hit up Oz. I decided to see if he was up to anything. We kind of were like, let's do a stream. And I was like, cool. And I just immediately cut my hair, shaved, showered. And I'm like, bet, didn't have time for makeup. So we'll see next time, maybe. I hear everyone's hot with eyeliner, so I don't know. I got to figure that out. But I lack the justification necessary. I haven't seen myself in eyeliner, so.
So before we talk about the topic of this call-in show, while we were chatting, I noticed a little something happening in the chat, and my Aunt Kathy is in the chat room, and she has this little adorable baby as her profile picture. And then I saw a certain somebody enter. It was like, oh, you should probably have Oz's baby picture as your profile picture. At first I told Biddy backstage, I was like, no, you need to be on my team. It's a no. But the more I'm thinking about it, you know what? I was a cute ass little baby.
Show that shit.
Baby. Go ahead and put that on, because that's when I was actually cute.
I feel like you would look the same. I'm just the beard is the only difference.
Well,
which I guess makes sense. It's late.
This is a little uncalled for, but I don't care if you were a cute baby. You know what? Hitler could have been a cute baby. What does that mean? I don't care.
So now, we're gonna go there, Shane. We're already gonna jump into philosophy.
I just wanted to get
law?
Is that just wanted to get all negative. What's law?
Godwin's law. It's only a matter of time before Hitler comes up in conversation. No one.
I don't know. I guess I haven't heard of that. It's probably a thing. So yeah, I'll go with it for now.
Okay.
Hitler will come up. And so I just equated Oz to Hitler because both of them were cute babies.
Well, thanks, Shane.
Thanks.
There's some differences. Like, Oz, what's your favorite breakfast cereal? Probably a different one.
You know what? We can end the stream now. I just got compared to Hitler. So
It's going to be fun.
So just a couple of things here. So are you saying the hat grew with him?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I popped out my mama with a flat brim hat on.
I want to be Oz for Halloween if we do a Halloween episode. Flat bill, and I'll paint a beard on.
I was
done.
I was going to ask myself, have I ever seen Oz without a hat on? Because it could actually be a part of his biology, and how would I know it? But then I thought I have seen him without a hat on. But then again, was that a photoshopped picture? I guess I have to do the Occam's razor thing. What's more likely between Oz is wearing a hat or biologically has what looks like a hat on and photoshopped a picture to look like he didn't have a hat on? I don't know. You know what? He's probably wearing a hat. But Oz, take the hat off. Prove it.
Well,
if you go way back into the Atheist Roundtable archives, there's I think 1 or 2 episodes that I don't rock the hat. But no, there's a couple of others that I lost. But yeah, it's a hat in either a Nirvana or a Biggie shirt.
Mm.
And somebody just said, "What is our topic for tonight?"
Who knows?
Obviously, it's my hat,
Yeah,
Hitler.
my shirt, and Hitler.
I tune in for that.
Oh, this has got to be good. The fundamental grounding of ultimate reality. Oz and a flat brimmed hat.
You know what? If I ever get asked that question, what is ultimate according to your worldview? I'm gonna go Oz and a flat brim.
Have you met Oz?
That is the ultimate.
No, so the topic for tonight is, you believe in a God? Question mark. How do you know it? How do you know it?
But why though?
Yeah, why do you believe that? How do you know that?
I had the craziest conversation yesterday with a theist, and they said they didn't like my TikTok content, but they told me that they could help me get closer to God. And I said, well, can you first prove that he exists? And they told me, sorry, I have school tomorrow and I can't. And that was the end of the conversation.
What about tomorrow? After your test, take your test.
And this was 4:00 in the evening. I mean, even if it was East Coast time, 5 p.m. I don't know. What if I died too? What
if I
went to hell?
It's you had an hour to explain God to me. Now I'm going to hell forever because you didn't have the time.
Right.
But I would also just okay, if someone's like, yeah, I have evidence for God, but I don't have time, I'll be like, all right, what's your schedule like? I'm very interested. What's the schedule? I mean, I've been waiting for this for a while.
Can you really believe in a hell if that's this nonchalant attitude towards people that are genuinely asking? I don't know.
Well, and real quick, I want to hit this. So, writer for life had asked what the topic was tonight, and P, no, you're good. P, being entertaining, said Oz, and more Oz. That's the topic, and no, I don't want any of our shows to ever be that. It was all in fun. And then writer for life said, well, I don't believe, obviously, and my relationship with my mom was shattered after having to come out to her again. And writer, if that's something you want to talk about, you don't have to share all the details or anything, but I do appreciate the wanting to talk things through, even vent. If you want to call in, the number is right there, 260-225-3868. We'll chat with you, man. Absolutely.
Can most of us relate to that? I can.
So I don't think I have as bad of a story with that as most people that I do, because at first, when I first became an atheist and was vocal about it, some of my family members thought they were going to try to talk to me they were like, oh, wait, you know what? No, we don't have to talk about this. It became that way like pretty quickly. And the only family members who kept doing it were so negative and aggressive that even my other Christian family members don't talk to them anymore because they were just so shitty toward me about their theism and their Christianity, and how, you know, when I reached out for help at a time over 2 years ago when I was suicidal, and I wasn't thinking about killing myself in that moment, but I was talking about the experience of going through those thoughts and feelings. And someone was like, oh, cool, an opportunity to proselytize. And I had a few paragraphs to say about it. And everyone in my family was very like, what the fuck? You know, like even the Christians, they were just like, okay, this is not the time to bring that up. This is not the time to do that. And so it's become a little bit more of something we don't talk about. You know, people are like, okay, Shane's here, we're not going to really talk about that, which is preferable to what things were like at first. Because I know some people definitely, you know, I have a friend who he came out as gay and then 2 years later came out as atheist, and his Catholic parents had a harder time with him coming out as atheist than they did with him coming out as gay. And for any of you who are Catholic or former Catholic, you're probably well aware that that's a pretty bold statement. If your Catholic parents are more accepting of your homosexuality than they are of your atheism, it shows you how unaccepting they are of atheism. Obviously, they should be accepting of both equally, but yeah. So you said you related to it more, though. What was your experience like?
So I'm a new atheist. I had my 1 year anniversary on New Year's. But when my mom, I didn't tell anybody. My mom found out, called me just irate, and she goes, "Is this true?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, why?" And I told her all the reasons of why I am now an atheist. And she said, "Well, those aren't true." And then told me that she's now going to pray that God kills my children. So, you know, nothing says I want to bring you back than God torturing me.
Yeah.
Well,
one of my favorite quotes, I think it was Hitchens who said it first, was like, "There's no hate quite like Christian love."
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I love you so much that I want your children to die. It's just, that is horrible. I'm sorry that you experienced that.
Well, something I never understood with Christians, and I'm generalizing, but the ones I experienced when I was questioning, so before I even left the faith, the questions were not welcomed. And then the minute I became an atheist, they became mean. At what better time would it be to show Christ's love than when someone has left the faith? Than to, like you said, proselytize and treat them like shit.
Before becoming an atheist, when I just left my religion,
we do have a caller.
Oh, hell yeah, let's go to that
already. Wow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Writer for Life did call in, so I'm very, very grateful. So, Writer for Life, how are you this evening?
I'm here. This has been a very interesting week for me at work. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're doing good. Well. It's Friday, but we're here to talk to you.
Yeah, we're not too bad.
What do you want to talk about?
I know you guys mentioned me bringing up what was going on with my folks, and so if it's all right with you guys, if that's all right for me to talk about, I'm more than happy to share.
100%.
Yeah, go for it.
And just for the record, I am able to see the chat right now, so y'all be snarky in the chat. I'll see it.
Oh no, I will. If anybody's snarky with you, I will make sure they have to leave.
I'm not bringing up Hitler, native, but
damn it.
So to kind of rewind a little bit, about halfway through April, I finally bit the bullet and decided to get my first tattoo. And it's a tattoo that I custom designed, and one of the pieces of it includes the atheist symbol. So I gave my wrist time to heal, and when it looked really great, I knew that eventually my parents were going to find out that I had a tattoo. For full disclosure, I'm 26 years old, but my parents had previously threatened to take my college funding away for having a tattoo. So
okay.
that that's a whole other situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, after about 3 weeks of healing, the time came when I had to go and see my family again. And so my husband and I got our masks on. We drove over.
Is the
We
tattoo
visited for a little-
is the tattoo like visible? There was no hiding it, like, or did you?
Oh,
Was it just out in the open?
no, there was no hiding.
Okay.
I part of the reason why I got this tattoo was to be very out about who
Okay.
I am. It's literally
Good for you.
a lot of this is basically me putting a lot of my identity on my wrist because if my heart's on my sleeve, I just want to introduce myself early on. So,
Just wanted to add a quick comment about what you just said. That is, in fact, a form of activism. Like, not everybody can get into like doing debates and talk shows and podcasts and, protesting, hate groups and all of that stuff. But like literally just being open about the fact that you are an atheist and then continuing to show people that you are a regular person, you're a decent person, that does a lot because it shows people if someone has a really bad concept of an atheist and then they come to realize this person that they know and love, this family member, and they're like, okay, wait a minute, but this person's an atheist. They don't really match my idea of what I thought atheists were. So that is a very good thing. And I know it's really difficult for a lot of people to reach that point. I deconverted one of my cousins and it was like, I don't know, 2 years after the fact that he told his mom. So people tend to stay in the closet for a while.
Mm-hmm. And no, I get that. And that's also part of why I got this tattoo in the first place. It's got the colors of the different romantic and sexuality flags that I fall under. It's got the atheist symbol. It's got so many things about me just laid out bare. So
that's awesome.
No
I like that.
So to get back into the initial story, so my family is a little weird. My sister and her family live in the same house as my mom and dad do. And so when I went to visit my sister, in turn, I visited my parents. So all of them found out at the same exact time that I'd gotten this tattoo. My sister was more outwardly supportive and even said that she wanted a tattoo of something. And I'm like, cool. My mom was a little taken aback, and as I explained the tattoo more and more to her, it seemed at first like she was okay with it. And with my dad, he's very stoic, so he didn't really show any emotion either way. So it's like, all right, whatever you're thinking, I'll get to eventually.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, my mom calls me 20 minutes before my therapy session. And she's like, I want to talk to you about your tattoo. I said, okay. My mom has known that I've been an atheist since last summer, but she told me on the phone she told me over the phone that she hadn't really thought of it until she saw my tattoo. And she literally asked me point blank why I told her the truth about what the symbol meant.
That's a difficult thing. She asked why you told the truth.
Yeah, she asked me why I told her the truth.
That's an odd question.
Right?
And I told her, she, as my mom, that one of the number one rules in the house was do not lie. And I wanted to follow through. That was how I was raised, is do not lie.
Did you tell her that?
Sin. Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
I told her that. And then she went off.
Mm.
I don't remember the entire conversation at this point, but my husband caught wind of it and was at the door listening to it. To answer your thing, Titan, no, she wanted to know why I told her specifically the truth, not my dad. So this was strictly on her.
So she got mad at you then for telling the truth? Is that?
She got mad at me for telling the truth. And then the worst comment that she made about all this was she made an offhand comment. When I was a teenager in high school, I was given the opportunity to do a summer camp at a college in the state. And she agreed to let me go because she thought it would be a good experience. That's eventually the college I ended up going to. And she made the comment of, if I could go back in time, I would tell myself never to allow you into that program.
Because it was a secular college, or?
Yeah.
Oh, and she thinks that's the root. See, this is what I can't stand about Christianity is you can never be the arbiter of your own decisions. It's always something else outside of yourself that has now brainwashed you into this contrary worldview. That's so frustrating.
Exactly. And I didn't deconvert until literally December of 2019. I didn't fully take up the moniker of atheist until then, and she didn't find out about that until summer. So, to make it long story short, I pulled that back on her and said, did you literally just admit that you would change your daughter as she is today?
How did you respond to that?
I have a question. Because, yeah, when you think about it, she would literally be changing the core of who I am today, because I learned a lot in college. I grew a lot in college.
Right.
And I would be a totally different person. So she willingly admitted that she would change who I am just to have a Christian kid.
May I jump in there?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
May I please? I'll just be as point blank as I can, and I do try to be as sensitive I can to each situation, because each situation is their own, with the different family dynamics.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that.
And all that being said, now there is still a very fine line between having different dynamics and then just being a good family member, mother, father, and treating people with the respect that they deserve. And
Right.
if there is anyone in my sphere of influence, and whether it's my dad, my mom, and a lot of things you're talking about with your mom, I've experienced and more, sadly, very sadly. And I have zero issues at this point in my life. I have zero issues cutting them off. And it's not because I hate them. It's not because I don't want them in my life. It's not because I don't want them to have access to my life. I know that particular people being involved in my life compromises my mental health.
Yes.
It compromises my happiness. It compromises my joy. So I'll not speak for anyone or tell them, hey, do what I do. But I will throw it out and say it is 100% bullshit for anyone, no matter the relationship, for anyone to try to tell somebody, I wish you were different, or I wish I could change you, or I wish I could do this, or I wish you believed the way I believed, or I wish you felt the way I felt. That is bullshit. 100% bullshit. And I personally will not allow anyone to be in my intimate sphere of influence that has an impact and influence on my life that thinks that way, talks to me that way, or operates that way, period.
would-
Can I ask a question? So after you defended yourself, was there any recanting? Did she see what you were saying, like how insulting she was, basically? No. I'm gonna take that laugh as a no.
So when I called her out on that, I did say, so you just admitted that you would change your daughter. She said, oh, now you turn the tables on me to make you the victim.
Weren't you the victim from the accusations? I don't know.
Well,
gaslighting, that sounds like.
Yeah, I would also, I guess this isn't too relevant, but if it were the case that atheism was some bad thing and that your college camp experience was what caused you to become a victim of this bad idea that is atheism. It's just bizarre that she can't say, I'm sorry that I sent you somewhere where this happened to you. I'm sorry that I sent you somewhere where you fell victim to a bad idea. Because even if everything she was saying was true, it seems like it would still be the case that she would be responsible for that happening and want to take some accountability. And it doesn't sound like that's the case.
Mm-mm. So she did later apologize to me, and I found out afterwards that apparently my godmother chewed her ass out real good.
That's good.
But she's only got one more shot for me at this point to fix this and to make this a better relationship.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the only reason I'm holding on to this at all is because I've got a niece and nephew who live under the same roof as them.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's tough.
But for everyone listening, like Oz said earlier, okay, none of us know any of your specific family situations, so we wouldn't tell you that it is the case that you should cut a family member off or stop contacting them. But I will say that it is worth considering, especially when somebody doesn't seem to either know you for who you are or respect or love the person that you actually are. Like, if they just have some idea of you that they love, that they wish you fit. I personally, for nothing to do with atheism whatsoever, I haven't talked to my dad in like 4 years, and that's the right decision for me. My mom and I have a good relationship, so we still talk, and it isn't the case that I'm doing something wrong. And it's very easy to feel that way because people like to throw but they're your family member. And I always try to ask people, okay, but do toxic people exist? Yes. Can you have a healthy relationship with a toxic person? They say no. Do toxic people have family members? Yes. And you might start to realize with those 3 questions, do toxic people have family members? Can you have a healthy relationship with a toxic person? I mean, really just those 2 might get people to realize, like, okay, there are certain specific circumstances where it is the case that you should, and sometimes only temporarily, till that person could kind of, sometimes people learn a lesson, like, okay, this family member of mine isn't talking to me because I'm being so vulgar or rude to them. And sometimes, same with friends, maybe you don't have to stop talking for good, but take a break. But like I said, these are just kind of advice things to throw out, take what you will, leave the rest, whatever you think sounds best for you. But I'm glad that you have other family members that chewed her out for it, because that's the kind of thing that helps people, I guess, come to some point where they realize they're being an asshole,
Right. But no, I totally get what you're saying, and trust me, if she pulls any stunts like that again, I'm going to tell her, you see me for Christmas and Thanksgiving, that's it. You get nothing else out of me.
And maybe with that kind of line in the sand, she might, change or get therapy, or, it doesn't mean it's a hard, I'm never going to see you again. But sometimes that's kind of what it takes for people to.
Yeah. I mean, I could say personally, like, if my dad turned his life around entirely and came back to me and was like, look, and apologized and recognized his wrongdoing, I would start talking to him again. But, every circumstance is different. Like I said, in my case, it's not even anything to do with atheism. So, no, it's good to stand up for yourself, because it's very, at least it's always easy for people to undervalue themselves, but it's particularly easy for us to undervalue ourselves when the context is in a relationship with our own parents. So I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, and good for you.
Thanks. And I'm hoping that if anyone else who's listening to this is having a similar issue, I know this is going to be better. It's just going to take a lot of time to either heal the relationship or get my mom to realize this isn't going to work out. And she's going to have to do some of her own growing before we can keep having conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And before you go, I do want to ask maybe 1 or 2 just brief questions. One, do you you can just say yes to no this and not give details, because I'd love to point you in the right direction if you don't. Do you have a good secular therapist?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. I loved how quick and confident.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then the second question I was going to ask is absolutely meaningless. So But I'm glad you have that. That's so important. That's so important.
If you're going to mention the secular therapy project, absolutely. That's actually how I found my current therapist.
Oh, fantastic. That's because that's where we're going to go next. Okay. So awesome. Well, before you go, you thank you for calling. Great call. Great conversation. Is there anything that you wanted to say or ask before you go?
All of you are beautiful people, and thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing what you do.
And I want to see your tattoo. If there's a platform where you can show it. I want to.
I was totally going to be like, I don't want to be weird, but I want to see that tattoo. Yeah, I am curious.
And writer.
Okay.
Writer. Can you see the screen right now?
I cannot.
Okay.
And how do you know we're beautiful? You lied to me. Sorry.
I made the call.
Our souls are beautiful.
You can rewind it and go back because I had a bunch of Christian tattoos and scripture tattoos and all that before I left, and one of my first ones I got was if you can see that, no God. You can go back and see it, and it's on my wrist. So I don't know where yours is placed on your wrist, but mine's on my wrist, and that was one of my bold statements. Where it was like, no, I don't fucking believe in your God anymore, and it was it was that in your face, like. No, there's no denying it. It's right there.
Exactly. If you want to know my TikTok, which it's
I do.
Okay. I'm that_126 on TikTok. If you scroll back to earlier this month, about 5/3, there's a very clear photo of my tattoo on my wrist that you can see, and that was around the time when the conversation with my mom happened. I didn't go into detail on the TikTok, but now you guys know the backstory.
Cool.
Awesome. And if you go to tart.live, all the website email is on there, and if you wouldn't mind going to put that on there, and I'll make sure myself and Biddy and Shane get that way we can connect with you there, because I guarantee you.
I won't remember.
I will not remember.
Yeah, if you follow me on TikTok, just shoot a comment or something. I don't know if you do.
I do.
Okay, good.
I'll just be reminding. I was actually just telling them both before the show. I was like, you know what? I need to get on TikTok. Everybody seems to be talking about TikTok, and I'm always I'm like the walking internet explorer. I am always just 6 months behind everybody on everything. So, yeah, but thanks for letting me know. You might be one of the first people I follow.
Hey.
So where do you want me to go? The website, I'm getting a 404 message.
Well, here's what I'll do. I'm just going to put my email in the public chat because it's on the website anyway. And you can just email it to me and I'll get it to them.
Okie doke. I will give it a second to load because it takes a second.
Not a problem. Well, thank you very, very much for calling in. Great conversation. We appreciate you.
No problem. And hey, chat, I see you too. Y'all are beautiful people as well.
Thank you.
No problem. Y'all have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
I think one of my favorite things about family members that, try to persuade you into, well, she's your mother or she's your father. And they use the quote that blood is thicker than water. Like, have you ever actually read the full quote? It says the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It's basically the antithesis to the point they're trying to make.
Yeah. It's almost, same thing with that saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like,
I don't know that one.
The history of that was literally like, the point was like this, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, like something that would be impossible to do, to get over something by pulling up your bootstraps. I'd have to look up. I don't think I'm eloquently explaining it, but if you look into the history of that expression, it literally meant the opposite of what people use it as.
People, come on.
All right. So just real quick, AK, I think this is probably the first time I've seen you in here, but you've had a couple questions about why atheists are bitter. Or why, what was the last one? Native atheists, you're being bitter again, or why we hate God. I would love to have you call in 260-225-3868, and we can drill down and see if we're bitter. But I'm going to give a little transition here and give maybe if I can find it. There it is. And Biddy, you're going to have like a 2 to 3 minute break here.
Oh.
All right, Shane, it's
Right.
just you and I, and the show just goes downhill from here.
Yep.
Just goes downhill. Oh, AK, you don't live in the U.S. Do you have Skype? You can call via Skype. Do you have what's the other one? There's another one that you can call international.
I'm sure if you were to Google something like call mobile number, I don't know. I'm just kind of Skype is probably what I would use if I couldn't call. But I guess I could try to briefly respond to what he said though. Why are atheists so bitter? Well, first of all, there's nothing about atheists that makes them inherently bitter. I think the reason you see a lot of bitter atheists, and that I would not deny for a second, one of the reasons you see so many bitter atheists is because of the response that they get to coming out as atheist makes them bitter. You know, when you simply are not convinced that something is true and you come out and you tell people, hey, you know what, I'm actually not convinced by your reasons to support a claim. And you get a lot of backlash. You know, you might have heard from our last caller, there was a lot of backlash. And for what? For not being convinced by something? That's really difficult. And some people are very, you know, like I said earlier, a friend of mine who had Catholic parents, he came out as gay. And if any of you know what Catholics are like, that didn't go over well. But he came out as atheist and he told me that was even worse. So the fact that people have negative conceptions of atheists leads to atheists being bitter. Now, I will add that creates a circle where atheists being bitter contributes to people's negative perceptions of atheists. But if you talk to people who live in countries where theism isn't even really particularly common or isn't the majority, like if you go to a country where most people are atheist, people aren't bitter about their atheism. They aren't bitter about religion. They don't care about it. They don't think about it. It's like, okay, so what? But, you know, we're in the United States where people are actually, I mean, I guess it also does vary on where you live, but if you live in the South, like I do, people could be very difficult toward you. You know, I've gone out with signs, not exactly protesting, but kind of normalizing atheism and kind of like Ask an Atheist and, you know, separation of church and state. And I've had people walk up to me, scream at me, flip me off, tell me that I'm going to go to hell. Some people are just passive aggressive and they walk up and go, I'll pray for you. And then they walk away. And you know, there's a lot of passive aggression that we get, and it's natural that that's going to turn somebody a little bit bitter. So there's my answer.
Was the question, why are atheists so bitter?
Yeah, that was the question.
Yeah, I think we kind of have a lot to be bitter about, but hey.
Yeah. I'm appreciating the compliments my globe is getting right now.
It's a nice globe.
For all of you who don't know, this is the globe that beat T-Jump's chair. I didn't beat T-Jump in the debate. Let's be honest. It was all about the globe versus the chair. And are you saying Shane has... Did somebody say I have a big head? I kind of do.
What?
I'm going in the chat. This is why I don't stay in the chat the whole time for a few reasons. Is every time I tune out of the chat and just focus on what's going on, every time I kind of look back in, I'm like, okay, how did we get here?
Yeah, I pay too much attention to the chat, and then Oz will say something. I'm like, what are we talking about? But yeah.
Shane, you're in the wrong, buddy. Shane, you're shaming the product because of bad marketing. I understand that perspective, but that's why I prefaced it by saying there isn't something inherent about atheists that makes people bitter. And you could see evidence of this, or at least supportive evidence of this, by the fact that atheists in countries where atheism is more common aren't so bitter about their atheism because they don't have anything to be bitter about. You know, people are accepting. It's normal to be an atheist. But here, You tell people you're an atheist and people gasp and go, "You're an atheist?" And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that makes us bitter. So
You could just it's just the damn title, because what percentage of the population actually lives
Right.
in accordance to their religion? They just say, yeah, I believe in God, and they're off the hook from
Right.
any scrutiny. But then all of a sudden you adhere to a title and shit hits the fan.
And I don't want to respond too much to one person in the chat, but I will say they asked the question, do you hate Christians or Christianity? I'm glad that you asked me that question. The same way you love the sinner but hate the sin, I love the believer but hate the belief. I do not hate Christians. I do not hate Muslims. I do not hate Jews. That doesn't mean that I don't hate Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. So that...
All right, well, we have an interesting follow-up call to our last call. All right.
Okay, cool.
I actually know this person, and I think this is a great follow-up to this. So I put Alpaca is his screen name on here. So Alpaca is a cradle atheist and finds the deconversion stories interesting because has never had to experience that. Doesn't have family or friends that come from that dogmatic belief system. So he finds it interesting to listen and wants to talk about that. So Alpaca, are you here with us?
I am.
Right, Biddy, you're gonna say something?
Does a cradle atheist mean they just were always an atheist, like from birth?
Yes.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
Alpaca, how are you?
Doing good. So you just mentioned cradle atheism, so I think that was probably keying into what I was about to say.
Absolutely.
So I was listening to the previous caller, and it's really interesting hearing from people who are also atheists, but unlike me, who did grow up in either a religious family or a dogmatic family, or however you want to describe it, background. And first off, I want to absolutely affirm that it totally makes sense to me that people who have grown up in that background would find meaning and find identity in the act of rejecting that. And I think this idea of representing that through a tattoo or something else is a really, really powerful communication to me. But I just wanted to give my own perspective, which is that for some of us, including myself, atheism isn't an identity for me. It's just something that I'm not. I never was a theist. I never was pressured to be a theist. It's just for me, it's just an idea, a claim, an identity that other people have. And it's just something that I'm not. If I were to get a tattoo, which I don't think I would do just for personal reasons, it would be something else. Maybe I'd get something to represent maybe something to represent humanism, or something to represent naturalism, or something about my morality.
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same way. For me, I guess I could understand why a lot of people would say that atheism is a big part of my identity. I would say that skepticism is a pretty big part of my identity, and that my atheism is a product or a subset of my skepticism. So that's more where I stand. But I really love not only the fact that you called in and talked about what you talked about, but really the timing after the last question that I got and the answer that I gave to it. Because it sounds like you're an atheist who is not bitter, who understands why atheists, with the other circumstance that I described, would be. Does that sound like an accurate assessment?
Yeah, I think I understand why it can come across as bitterness sometimes.
Right. Well, I won't even deny sometimes some of us atheists are bitter, especially I tend to tell people who, if they're interested in getting into like atheist activism or debating or, stuff like that, if you're fresh into your atheism, like if you just became an atheist, a lot of people go through what I call an angry atheist phase. And I had a conversation with a theist friend of mine recently who he became a theist, and he said he went through an angry theist phase due to getting backlash from some people about the religion of choice that he converted to. So, I would make sure to establish there is bitterness from atheists, but it's not inherent to atheism. It's relevant to where they are and the other circumstances. So, it seemed like you were understanding this. You understand why somebody would identify with their rejection of religion if a pretty big part of their life has been standing up through the backlash they got for rejecting religion.
Yeah, well, I think in general, it's completely okay to feel things. It'd be okay to feel bitter, even if you didn't have a good reason to feel bitter, as long as you're thinking about what your feelings are, why you're having those feelings, whether or not you want to like do some introspection and think about why you're feeling that way and how it might be affecting other people. Totally okay to feel a certain way. I'm not an ex-theist. I do remember going through early high school, early tweens, early teens, where I got really into like debating, and I wanted to watch debates and argue with people and like talk them out of their religion. And I kind of quickly realized that trying to talk people out of things that are very meaningful to them in a single conversation kind of isn't the way to go about things. So maybe that was my equivalent of the angry atheist phase. But it was kind of a fly on the wall thing. It was always something I was kind of a bit detached from.
Well, and we had a conversation recently with a few people that came from pretty abusive backgrounds within Christianity, and then Pastor Mike being one of the other ones that were involved that came from the cradle atheist, position, so to speak, and not understanding what it's like to go through any of that, and him conceding that, obviously, and being able to learn more. Even though he has helped me so much over the last year, and we're almost approaching 2 years now that he's been a critical part of my my growth and my maturation and all that, with not just within atheism, but just getting out of the emotional bullshit that was attached to the religion and the dogmatic beliefs and all that. And I think it is very important, Alpaca, and that's why I love that you called on this topic, because it is important for the lifelong atheist or cradle atheist. So I say that plainly, but the lifelong atheist to understand that, like the religious trauma, and I'm not saying you're discounting it, but there are a lot of lifelong atheists that discount the trauma, or they try to minimize the trauma for the people that come out of that. And I think it's important that more and more people like yourself and Pastor Mike and others are like, no, we didn't experience it. We don't know. We don't have firsthand experience and firsthand knowledge or pain to know what it's like. But God damn it, we see it. We see it because you're our friends, and we see you going through it, and we watch you going through it. And because we love you and we care about you, we connect with it, and we see and feel the pain because you're feeling it. And I think it's important that more and more atheists have been atheists. Their lifespan can connect that way. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is you talked about the importance of looking at relationships, especially important family relationships, and looking at them and thinking about, is this a toxic relationship? Is this a relationship that's helping me more than it's hurting me? Is this a relationship that can be rehabilitated into something useful? Or can I and should I do without this? So I teach high school. So unfortunately, high school is an age where a lot of people go through trauma. It's a difficult age. People are just becoming adults. They're starting to really build their own life, and they're starting to very often struggle against their parents. Maybe even it's still a good relationship, but they're struggling against the tradition and the expectations they have from a lot of different directions. And the relationships that matter the most to us are also the relationships that can hurt us the most. And
definitely true.
I think maybe the single best thing you can remember here is no one else can really tell you whether or not a relationship is harmful to you or not. You can certainly get help with that. You can talk to, whether it's a therapist or a friend or someone who you really have a good understanding with. But it's tough to tell. Sometimes something that just feels like a relationship that you couldn't do without, you might look back later and realize, well, this wasn't a friendship that was helping me. This was someone that was holding me back.
Yeah.
And we only we can really answer these questions, which is why it's important to either do introspection, meditation, therapy, whatever you have to do.
Yeah. And to get people to just consider that there are circumstances where it's okay. So like my mom stopped talking to her dad because it was like she saw me do it and she was kind of like, wait, you can just do that? Oh, like it almost never occurred to her. Like, I don't have to talk to this person. And my mom like learned from me that you are allowed to stop talking to your parents. And like you just emphasized, if it's the case for you, which only you would really know. But yeah, that's how relationships work.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the idea of saying that you don't have an obligation, right? Because I've given people advice before too. Sometimes on the other side, like sometimes I've told people, you're a senior in high school, you're dealing with this problem. You need to think about, how critical is this problem? Is this something that needs to be solved? Or, it might be that if you're going to be moving out in 3 months, this might not be a battle worth fighting. And it's really important to kind of think through these things and think about, what are my needs? What do I need change to make this work?
Yeah.
And, is this worth fighting or not?
Yeah,
and to be clear, I'm not trying to tell anyone that they should or should not fight something. Just, you're under no obligation to anyone other than yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
And I agree. And Alpaca, before we, because I think we have two people calling in. But before we go, I do want to say whether it's religion or whatever it is, whether it's a political conviction or a social conviction, whatever it is, if there's somebody that the only thing they bring to your life or offer to your life is toxicity, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. And that's point blank. I don't care if it's mommy, daddy, man, pappy, uncle, aunt. It doesn't matter. If the only thing that they have to offer to your life is toxicity, kick their ass to the goddamn road. With a quickness.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it's too commonly people both hurt and help us though, and then it gets tough.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. Well, Alpaca, it was good to talk to you again, man. Long time no talk, no see, but I'm
nice to talk to you.
I'm very, very glad you called in, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to talk to you.
Yep,
smash that like, hammer that subscribe, all that good kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did y'all just hear that, man? You better smash that. Thanks, Alpaca. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Take it easy.
And then just one thing here. Eddie from Brute Facts. Yeah, but to be fair, Oz, it's a version of Christianity and a minority version. The focus should be on the damaging versions of religion, not religions as a whole. Well, Eddie, you and I have spoke about this. In the United States, whether you want to realize it or not, bro, like the damaging versions of Christianity they are the most prominent. Like, I'm not talking about statistically. I'm talking about their voice and their influence and impact negatively that they make on people's lives. So it's not a matter of me trying to single people out or just paint a broad stroke. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Well, I don't think. And for those who don't know, Eddie's a friend of ours. So Eddie isn't someone that we would put in these groups of people who are
not ever.
Who are being harmful in their approach to talking about religion. Eddie isn't even an apologist. He talks to you if you're interested in talking to him. And, we're the guys that are interested in talking to him. Here's the thing, though, is I don't think it's generalizing or painting with a broad brush to say that telling someone that they are so inherently flawed that God had to kill himself to forgive them for being themselves is like, I don't see that ever not being harmful. Because the point of Christianity is that God is merciful to you, even though you are so bad, like even though you don't deserve it at all. And I think a lot of people don't want to put emphasis on the undeserving aspect that Christianity teaches, and they put more emphasis on the mercy aspect. But if the first thing you need to teach somebody is that they aren't good enough, then that's an issue. And I understand that not all Christians are this bad. In fact, I would agree this is a minority. But there's a guy that I used to work with, and he would literally ask people, "Do you think you're a good person?" And if they said, "Yeah," he would say, "You're not. Only God is good." And that's a minority version as well. However, where does that idea come from? That is what the Bible teaches. So this is something Eddie and I would disagree on for sure. But I think the people who are doing those things, they're the ones that are being more consistent with the Bible and what it teaches.
And Eddie and I have talked about this, and I'll say this and then call it the super chat here, and then I'm going to take a quick restroom break while you guys chat before, because I think there's a couple people are getting ready to call in here from scene, but. Christians, not all of you, but there are a good portion of you that I do love and appreciate. You're good people. You're trying. I don't agree with what you believe in, but you're trying to be good people. So I can be cool with that. I can vibe with that. Whatever. You're not hurting people. It's not a me problem. It's not a me problem that you have all of these people that call themselves Christians and don't know how to interpret and read a book the same way as everybody else. That falls in your belief. That's not a me problem. That's a you problem. That's a you, your religion, your book, your Christianity. That's your problem. It's not mine, and it's not my responsibility to go through the 30,000 different denominations every time I say Christianity to try to line it up to make it to make it fit or make it meet. That's not my problem. That is not my problem at all, and it never should be. That falls on the owner of or the follower or believer in or of Christianity. That's your problem. That is a you problem. And I can still love you amidst that, but you are still guilty by association.
Right.
You are still guilty by association.
Right. Well, I would also add, because he said something that I strawmanned him. And if you think that I'm misrepresenting you, please know that strawmanning is deliberately misrepresenting. And I think you know that I would never deliberately misrepresent it. Because if I deliberately misrepresent Christianity and then attack that misrepresentation, I'm just wasting my time. That is my honest understanding of it. And
can you straw man a religion that has 30,000 denominations? You literally have to work with each individual one that's in front of you. And so when we make these, we say Christian,
you can straw man it. Like if you are talking to someone who's not, sorry,
hold on, 1 second. You guys keep going when I take this break, but real quick, we had 2 super chats. So Mike Mobley, thank you, $20. What up? Thank you so much for the support. Appreciate it. And then we had one more here. Oh, where'd you go? There it is. Doorknob Head for another $20. Thank you. Thanks for tart, tangy, tarty, thingy. All y'all doing great, and you're doing great. Thanks for the support. We appreciate that. And I'm gonna take a quick 3-minute break. I'll be back, and then we'll get into some more calls. Y'all talk about the. Nope,
we're just gonna sit here in silence.
Yep.
Better hurry.
So I guess there's a disagreement over, and then there are some other people who agree with Eddie that a straw man doesn't necessarily have to be deliberate. I think it does in order for it to actually, my understanding of straw man is you're deliberately misrepresenting something and then attacking that misrepresentation of it.
Yeah.
And real quick, because I just saw Eddie said that's bullshit. Oz, Eddie, we've literally already talked about this and you agreed. So I don't know what's bullshit, but I really got to pee. I'll be back.
Okay. Eddie and I have talked mostly about philosophy. We haven't gotten too much into what the Bible teaches and the ideas. And we will get into it because there's no way Eddie and I aren't going to have more podcasts. The 2 shows that we've done have been just too good for us to not have a third one. And probably Eddie even said something about maybe we might do a regular series. So perhaps we could dive into that a little bit more. For now, I'm going to state, and I'll correct myself in the future if I'm wrong. I am pretty confident that a straw man must be deliberate. So one of the things I was going to say before Oz needed to talk was, if I say that Christians believe that the wine turns into the literal blood of Christ after transubstantiation, and that they believe that the bread literally turns into the body of Christ, if I said that to someone who was not a Catholic, if they were, say, some Protestant, I don't think any Protestants think that, then it would be strawmanning them if I knew that they didn't literally think that and then attacked that anyway. But if I'm attacking my honest understanding of a religion, I'm like, you genuinely think that the molecules of wine turn into molecules of blood, the molecules of these wafers are turning into molecules of the body. Because for most denominations, it's more of a metaphorical thing. It's more symbolic. It isn't a literal turning into blood, but some people think it is. So if you knew that somebody didn't literally think that, and then you were saying, well, okay, like if they said something and you were just kind of like, okay, well, you think wine can just turn into blood. If they're not a Catholic and you know that they don't think that, you're strawmanning them. But if you genuinely didn't know that, that isn't strawmanning them. So, I don't know. We have somebody in the chat who I'm going to have to say, I'm starting to think, well, someone wants me to spin the globe. I'm going to have to listen to that because too many compliments for the globe. First of all, I'm more flattered by people calling my globe sexy than I would if anyone was calling me sexy. The globe is the real star here. But no, someone in the chat actually keeps calling all of us bitter. And I'm just starting to think that person is projecting because I'm trying to give the most polite responses that I can and answer the questions. And there just seems to be a lot of bitterness coming from this person. So I hope that you call in. He said, give me the real number after being provided with the number, like accusing the number of being fake. It just seems like this person's bitter. And I do hope you call in and maybe after talking, we could be on a little bit more of polite terms. I have had interactions where on Facebook and comments or on text, they weren't so civil. But then when we got to talking on a live stream, we were actually a lot more civil. So I do hope something like that could happen if you call in and we could better address
do it.
what he's saying. But I'm also, if he's unable to call in, I'm not going to say he's scared or unable to. I don't know why he doesn't call in if he doesn't call in, or she or they. I guess I'm assuming gender. I guess that's a problem with, you don't want to do that. But
well, I'll call it out. It's one thing to talk shit in the comments if you don't want to call in. Well, that shows, I don't know. I'll be an asshole.
Okay. He's not being bitter. No hard feelings. Well, that's good. No hard feelings here either. It just, I felt like there were some accusations coming my way and, I can't address the entire chat. It just, I guess I'm glad we could be on the same terms of like, let's try not to be bitter. I know you think that we are. I certainly went through my bitter phase. I guess my response is that I don't have a whole lot of bitterness. I'm a little bit more at the point now where everybody's at the same default. And when somebody starts treating me a certain way, I might start getting bitter toward them for some specific reason. But other than that, no, there are so many Christians out there who I don't really even hold their religious view. It sounds weird to say, but I don't even really hold them accountable for holding the disturbing views because they haven't investigated them. Most people aren't aware that the Bible, like the God of the Bible, literally commands the Israelites to rape children in Numbers 31, 17, and 18. If anyone's like, well, where's the verse?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if you're someone who doesn't know that the God of the Bible commands child rape, then of course, you're not going to be as appalled by the Bible as I am. But
the problem is I do that all the time, and they'd be like, well, who told you that? Where does it say that in the Bible? And then I point it out, and it's like, well, okay, now you don't have the excuse of ignorance.
Exactly.
Now it's in your face, and you need to deal with it. So from that point on, it gets really frustrating talking with people like that because you were appalled at what I just said. Then it was in your Bible, and now you're okay with this. Realize in any other context this would be inappropriate, right?
Right. It's bizarre to me. And the same thing with Islam, where it's like, okay, only in the context of religious conversation do I find myself having to explain why fucking a child is wrong to people.
I know.
And I know that a lot of people are like, okay, you're painting everyone with a broad brush, or you're misrepresenting, you're making them sound bad. Okay, realize how you come off to somebody who doesn't believe in your book. And from my understanding, God says to kill the grown men, to kill the little boys, to keep the girls for yourselves. And then if you keep breeding, they are forced into marriage and they have to have kids for them. Mm-hmm. I call killing an entire family except the little girl, kidnapping her and making her have your offspring rape. To me, that comports with my understanding of what that word means, right? And I understand that this is not something these people would ever do themselves. In any other context, if they heard about it, they would go, that's terrible. But that's why it's weird to me that it's like, okay, well, why would it be okay for the Israelites to do it? Like,
hey guys, real quick, I'll be on screen here in a minute. We do have Eddie Crum de la Crum here online, and I'll be right back.
Cool.
Yay.
Am I on?
You're on.
Yep.
Sorry, it's been a long day. The bullshit comment was about being guilty by association. Just because other people say they're Christians, and I'm not questioning whether they are or not, doesn't mean that I carry the burden of the claims that they make. And Shane, the straw man charge wasn't hey, you're straw manning, stop doing it. It was more of that's just kind of painting the whole religion with a minority view.
Right. No, but so are you referring to the view that you are inherently sinful and needed to be forgiven for your sins, and that's why Jesus died? I don't think that's painting with a broad brush. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what Christianity is.
No, it was the way that you stated it, but it's far more nuanced than that. It's less about you're terrible and horrible and you need this, that, and the other. And it's more about that because, we had fallen short of perfection or God's standard or this, that, or the other, that he loved us so much that he gave away for us to be.
No, so that's the thing, though, is it's saying is you're beginning with the premise that we're undeserving of mercy, of like good. And you went from saying like it's not about being terrible, it's about, and then the way you stated it the second time was we've fallen short of God. Well, no, like that's kind of what's being referred to. You like,
do you think we're perfect?
Do I think we're perfect? No.
Okay, then you agree with me.
But there's no need to be perfect. What is perfection?
Well, perfection would be preferable, of course, but I wouldn't disagree that people all have flaws. Simply, like, you are inherently flawed. Like, there's something inherently wrong with you is the problem. Because you develop flaws later on, but and I think this is one of the things that you and I disagree on. In my worldview, a newborn baby is innocent. Like, that's the best example of innocent I could think of. Anything bad, it hasn't done it yet. Whatever traits cause it to do those bad things, as far as we can tell, it doesn't have those. I don't see a newborn baby as like a sinful thing that needs to be, and not everyone believes in baptism, but needs to have sins washed away from it. Like, it's an innocent thing to me.
Yeah,
and they're technically atheists. Can I just say?
Yes.
Why would you think that I think any different than that?
Do you believe in original sin, Eddie?
Well,
what is the point of Jesus's crap?
Extremely misunderstood. What is original sin?
I'm asking you.
Well, I guess your question was if he believed in it, and then his question is what it was.
Okay, let me just ask a different question. Why did Jesus have to come?
Because we're imperfect and fallen short of the standard of God, which is perfection.
Which means if we don't accept his crucifixion and his resurrection, we go to where?
No, it doesn't mean that.
But I just feel like saying like, okay, we've fallen short of the grace of God is just like a really liberal way of wording what the idea actually teaches. Like, when you look at the Bible.
This is what I'm talking about when and I'm not saying you specifically, Shane, but this is what happens when people have anecdotal experience and they go to a certain part of Christianity, or they've been raised around a certain part, and we seem to think, and this happens everywhere in our life, we seem to think that is what it's about, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, I'm saying that according to the Bible, that's what it's about. Because I know that there are churches, especially here in Austin, that hold views that, according to me, are completely unchristian and unbiblical. I like their views; they're accepting of LGBT people, but I genuinely believe that the Bible is opposed to LGBT people. Like,
How long have you studied the Bible and the context and the history and the genre behind it?
Is this question to Shane or me?
Thing.
that one was
Yeah,
probably
of course
me.
it is.
You,
Well,
it'd be for you too.
it's not something I've studied in depth, like the same depth that I've studied epistemology in, but I would say that I have looked into it and studied it a bit and been reading the Bible for year and a half or so, something like that.
So, would you be more qualified to say that the Bible says this than somebody who studied it, you know?
We're skirting on the edge of an argument from authority. It doesn't matter if somebody's more qualified for me. I'm talking about what the book actually says in it. If I read Leviticus 20:13 and see that it says that if two gay men have sex, that they should be killed, it doesn't matter if somebody has read the entire book and they're a biblical scholar. I know that it says that in there.
No, you don't. It doesn't even. You're wrong that it even says that.
Okay,
Oh,
well, I
he's
can
not
look at
wrong.
multiple
He's not
translations
wrong.
of it.
We
It
like the
says,
Hebrew?
if one lies with a male as one lies with a woman, what they've done is an abomination, and they shall both be put to death. Their blood is upon them. I have it memorized by heart. Trust me.
Right.
I do know that it says that.
You've read it in the English, right?
Yes,
What
the
is the
only
word in
language I
Hebrew?
speak.
What is the word in Hebrew, Eddie?
Wait, but Eddie, what?
There are two different words used there. One is for a man as of stature, and the other one is a general term for usually used for boy.
Okay.
The word is zachar.
do
Zachar
I-
means man, and it is specific of an age. If it was to be a young boy, it'd be yeled.
What is
What?
the second used? What's the second word used there? It uses two different words.
No, it doesn't. Zachar is the noun for
Yes,
man.
absolutely.
Okay, well,
It
the
absolutely
only way
different
we can
words.
even hold to that is if we accept that every version in English, it has a translation flaw, because the ones in English say if a male lies with a male as one lies with a woman. It doesn't say anything about age. So if you want to bite the bullet and say that we don't have accurate enough translations in English to accurately understand the Bible, I don't really have a problem with that. But the problem is you don't speak Hebrew either, do you?
What translation did you read?
My translation of choice would be the New King James Version. I find that it's the most consistent with the King James and similar to modern day English.
Well,
English Standard Version is pretty easy to read too.
Right.
I'm sorry.
You know the King James is the worst Bible, the worst translation, right?
Am I mistaken in my assessment that it was the first English translation? Because I don't know if you heard I said the New King James Version.
The problem is the original King James was written on manuscripts that are a lot newer. And we found there has been older manuscripts that have been found, and there's quite a few things that the King James gets wrong. If you look at the New King James footnotes, they'll put in there where passages are added that aren't in the original, and they've retranslated words. But you have different types of Bible. Some try to translate word for word. Some translate concepts.
Okay, but do you think?
So what if
do you think that a
reads...
God who I'm sorry, but
Go
do you
ahead.
think that a God who inspired this book wants me to read this book if he made it so difficult for me to read it that even when I make my fullest effort to read it in multiple translations, I still don't have a good enough understanding? I mean, if I'm trying to teach you something and I go, oh yeah, but you haven't read it in enough translations, like that's a really high standard to hold me to understand something.
What is inspired? No, I expect people who's going to talk authoritatively on a subject to have studied it very good. And that's the issue is most people who, even Christians who want to talk about what the Bible says, hasn't done due diligence on it.
Okay, but you ignore what I'm saying, and I'm the one that can read the Hebrew of this verse. So you're doing what you're accusing him of doing, Eddie.
No, I'm absolutely not. You're absolutely wrong when you say that only one Hebrew word is used there. I'm still waiting on you to tell me what the second Hebrew word is used there for male.
Zachar is the word used. If it went so the accusation is it's regarding pedophilia, the word would have been yeled, which means young boy. Hebrew is a very specific language.
That's once that it was there. There's a different word used for male.
All right, let me pull up my interlinear Bible, wherever the fuck it is. Anyways.
I mean, I'm interested in the conversations that you guys are having over.
Hold on. My point was that the homosexuality part is it's controversial and very
Zachar.
So nobody knows for sure exactly what was talked about in Leviticus, because homosexuality was not foreign to ancient Israel, but pederasty was.
But if
so it is very plausible that it was condemning pederasty as the cultures around Israel practiced. So the thing is, we don't know exactly what it means in that passage.
Okay.
And try to see what it means, whether it's homosexuality, pederasty, this, that, or the other, but it's not set in stone as in it condemns homosexuality.
Okay.
You're going against literally centuries of Jewish scholarship. You're the one that's not accepting the academic
Jewish scholarship. I absolutely am not. And there are about 4 different Orthodox Jewish denominations, and then there's others that don't even hold to the authoritativeness of the Torah and anything else. So when you talk about going against Jewish scholarship, which Jewish scholarship am I going against? It's not monolithic.
Find me the sect of Judaism that disagrees with that has your interpretation. What, you're going to find it in maybe like super far removed Kabbalistic Judaism?
You made the claim.
That
you said I'm going against Jewish scholars, histories of Jewish scholars.
To say that it's a pedophilia. Okay, go ahead, Shane. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, so this is a very interesting conversation. I do want it to continue. My only problem is this. I only speak English. So if a God wants me to read the Bible and understand it, then like, is he not able to get me an English translation? Because I made this point a long time ago where I'm like, can God not give everyone a direct translation of the Bible? Because I know that seems like too much to ask, but like, really, if I am willing to read something, and most people don't even like reading. I don't like reading. I just like having read. If you take the time to read something in more than one translation, and that isn't enough effort to understand it, then it is not plausible to me that this God wants me to accurately understand it. And I'm willing to keep learning and keep reading what the original word meant in Hebrew. But as someone who's only an English speaker, I am justified in saying that the Bible says that, at least in my language. And if you want to then say, but we can't really know what they meant back then. Okay, we can't know. Then who cares about it? Like, we shouldn't treat it as an authoritative text if neither of us can accurately understand or interpret it.
We can, but that we can accurately interpret it.
But didn't you just say none of us really know what they meant in Leviticus?
Why do you have the assumption that God's going to just give you this like magical understanding of an English version?
I don't have that expectation. What I'm saying is it logically follows that if he wanted me to understand it, he would at least let me have access to an accurate translation. If I want you to know something, Eddie, and I give you a bunch of articles that you have to retranslate to figure them out.
Why did you expect that?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Why would you expect that?
Because it logically follows that if I want you to understand something, the most plausible way that you will arrive at an understanding of it is if I give you an accurate understanding of it to read in the first place. It would be really weird if I wanted you to know something, and instead of giving you the accurate translation on how it's done, I gave you some paper that was a rough draft that had to be peer edited or reviewed 3 times first. If I gave you that copy instead of the updated one, you'd go, okay, well, if you want me to know this, why didn't you just give me the version I could understand? I mean, in America, when people write newspapers and magazines, and I promise I'll shut up in less than 15 seconds, because I know you have a lot to say. But in America, newspapers and magazines are aware that the average American reads between an 8th and 9th grade reading level, and they want people to understand the news. So what they do is they cater to that reading level. If you make something that only scholars can read, you can't be surprised when the people who aren't scholars don't understand it.
Okay, so here's the issue, Shane. You have a lot of assumptions built in there. One, you're assuming that God doesn't want us to study and learn on our own. Two, you're assuming that God, or somehow, some way, is supposed to just give us an extremely plain version in our language to understand.
These aren't assumptions. I reasoned myself into them.
It doesn't logically follow, like you said, because we're fallible people, so we're going to make mistakes. And are you familiar with the problem of translation, lost in translation?
Yes, if you try to understand what Aristotle meant by eudaimonia, most people just say happiness, but if you investigate further, you'll see that he clearly doesn't just mean happiness. So I do get the kind of point of things being lost in translation.
So that's something that we still deal with today. And this is an example I've used many times, okay? In France, they name bodies of water by how long they run. We name bodies of water by how big and wide they are. So how do we tell somebody in France what a river is or what a lake is? We have to come up with a concept that they can understand what we're trying to say. Now, we're doing this.
But we're not omnipotent beings.
With language that is 3,000 to 5,000 years old. Okay? So,
God talked to
our understanding. Go ahead.
So God actually revealed himself and talked to people. God wants all of us to know of his existence, but he only revealed himself to a few Jews who lived a few thousand years ago. Does that really seem logical when you think about it?
No, it doesn't, because now you're totally discounting natural theology. I mean,
no, I'm not, because I don't know if you've heard, I've given this analogy before, the teacher analogy. If I'm a teacher and you're a student in my class, I want you to learn something. What is the better way for me to teach it to you? For me to teach it to you, or for me to teach it to a student who teaches it to another student, and then eventually everybody gets it? Clearly, like you said, it's going to get lost in translation. The class is not going to walk out with an accurate understanding of my lecture. If I want them to know the point, I should teach them myself. It logically follows if I'm the one with the knowledge and I want it to be conveyed to that person, and I'm capable of making them understand it, it logically follows that I would make them capable of understanding it.
Can I ask a question? What is natural theology?
So that would be 1 second. What you're doing is you're taking, that's a false analogy, because we're talking about revelation of a divine being. We're not talking about a class and teachers. And you're assuming that we have to know what the Old Testament says to know what God is. You're assuming that we have to know what the Bible says to know who God is and these things. God reveals himself through nature and everything else. Do you not think that those who don't have access to the Bible don't have an idea or concept of God?
Yeah, gods have existed, in people's heads way before Christianity did. Ancient Egyptians made up gods. The Greeks made up gods. Israelites made up gods.
So then you would admit that there's something there that makes most people.
No, but they don't have the concept of the same God. They all have different gods.
Right. There is a concept there that something more or a higher something exists, right?
Yes, people are aware that there is something higher than them, and there's something higher than that, and they kind of reason out that there must be some highest thing.
Why do they have to have some English translated version of ancient text?
Well, to understand God or to understand the God of the Bible? Because if you're proposing a God that isn't that God, then okay, that he can reveal himself in his own different kind of way. But if God wants me to know Jesus and, Jesus' sacrifice, why Jesus sacrificed himself for my sins, like, yeah, it follows he would
have to know why does everybody have to know about Jesus or his sacrifice or what he did?
I'd like your answer.
Well,
on
because
that,
the
Eddie.
Bible says that that's how you get salvation.
What is your take on
No,
that
that's not what
question?
the Bible said. That's not what the Bible says.
Okay, so you don't think that acknowledging Jesus as your Lord and Savior and recognizing his sacrifice and why is part of
Can Eddie
Christianity?
answer the question? Eddie, ask yourself that question.
No, I don't believe that.
What do you believe?
What? About?
You said, what did he just ask you?
Why do I think that God would only reveal himself through Christianity or something like that? Or no,
what is, so you said
he's not an exclusivist.
I said
Why do you
that-
need to know about Jesus
why
Christ
is
to
it
be saved?
necessary to know
That was the question.
There it is.
Do what?
Oh, he was repeating your question, and the question that you asked was, why do they need to know about Jesus and his sacrifice? And my answer, based off my understanding of Christianity, is that's the requirement for salvation. And it seems like you were about to start saying that you hold a different view than that.
Yeah, I said.
What's
yeah,
up, Tom?
I said. Well, the claim was made that that's what the Bible says, and I said it doesn't say that.
So, do you believe Jesus is necessary for salvation? And if not, what is his purpose?
Yeah, Jesus is necessary for salvation.
Okay, but knowledge of him isn't.
No.
Okay.
So, so those believe on me and you will inherit what's the verse?
I used to have a bunch of Bible verses memorized really, really well. That would have been more handy right now.
So those that call upon the name of the Lord will be saved. If they don't know his name, or if they say those that, when it says, I can't think of the verse right now, but basically the Bible saying that Jesus is the only way to the Father. If people don't know that stuff, it doesn't matter.
Jesus is the only way to the Father. That rung a bell.
Can I help you here? So
yeah, it does.
Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and there is no way to the Father but through him.
Okay.
Yep, and then all that call upon the name of the Lord will be saved. So you'd have to, one, know his name, and two, you'd have to know that Jesus is the gateway to God.
No, that's no. That is
That's just what the Bible says.
extremely distorted view. This is what's called the anachronistic fallacy. You're taking a 21st century understanding of an English translation of an ancient language totally out of context of who's being talked to, who's writing it, who's listening, and the message trying to be conveyed. And this is why we have so many fundamentalist Christians, because they make the same mistake.
I don't think that's a verse you could give the context argument to, Eddie. There are verses that you could give the context argument to. I don't think that was one of them by any means.
Yeah, Eddie,
Are you telling me that the context of history doesn't matter?
Eddie, hold on. Everybody pause. Chill out. How else, if we all sat down, the four of us in the same room, and
I don't want to do that.
and we went through that scripture, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the light. There is no other way to the Father but through me. That's Jesus speaking.
Yeah.
How is there any other interpretation or context that you could take from that?
Are you serious? That's not even the Orthodox view.
That's not what I asked.
Well, I'm asking what Eddie's view is. So you just tell us what it means then.
Okay, here's the thing. Y'all are making the leap from Jesus having to be the way to knowing who Jesus is and confessing with your mouth who Jesus is.
That's what the Bible says.
You're reading scripture out of context of history, of the genre of the book and who they're talking to and the message they're trying to convey to those people.
No, Eddie, I I love you and respect you, but I believe you're overcomplicating the very
No, I'm not overcomplicating.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the thing. No, that's the thing, Oz, is you're trying to simplify it so much
Well,
that it doesn't even make sense in context of history.
Okay, so Eddie, we're not getting anywhere with this type of energy.
Okay,
I came in trying to calm it down. I came in trying to calm it down.
Calm down, Eddie.
No, I'm fine.
I'm cool.
Listen, let me ask: who wrote that specific scriptures that you're talking about? Who were they writing to, and what were they writing about?
No idea.
Most likely Paul, but I don't have a Bible in front of me.
Those are in the Gospels, so no idea, no record of it.
Is it in the Gospels?
Yep.
Isn't it 1 Corinthians?
No, the I am the way, the truth, and the life was.
Oh yeah.
Jesus speaking.
Oh yeah. Well, who the hell knows? We don't know.
Right. Exactly. But we know who they were talking to, and we know what they were trying to convey to those people, and that's they were trying to show that Jesus was the Messiah. They were talking to them in the understanding that they have of who the Messiah was, and they were trying to convince those.
Why is this a literary language if it doesn't need to be? And how do we ground Jesus and then a consistent belief? Because it doesn't seem like all the people that have ever claimed to know him and have a relationship with him are on the same page. You are not the standard here, Eddie. And it's like, you may think that you have the knowledge, but then like, how do you prove that? How do you do any, like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
How much of church history and doctrine have you studied?
I don't know. Enough
to know that what I'm talking about is an orthodox view and a very common view outside of fundamentalism in the U.S., right?
What is your view? I don't get it. I don't know what it is.
This isn't my standard.
But what is the
standard?
What is? I'm confused.
Well, no, I'm not, because this is what it comes down to. If and not just Eddie, but other Christians, when we talk about this, this is where we are always going to have a disagreement here, because because
of the way you approach scripture.
No, or it could be the way you approach it.
No. It's my way is the historical orthodox and the majority way of approaching it.
Eddie, I already know in these conversations, you believe that you have the superior view over anyone that you're talking to right now. So
don't be passive aggressive with me, Oz. Don't be passive aggressive with me.
Well,
the problem is you haven't done your homework.
Simmer
and you
down.
get frustrated with me
Listen to you.
Because you're trying to assume my position and what I'm saying.
It's funny, Eddie, because I'm not being passive aggressive. I'm simply sharing. I'm sharing
that I think my view is superior. And I never
based on your tone and the way you've approached this conversation. That's how you're demonstrating it. No, it's if you go
because
back
I'm asking questions.
Eddie, see, like right now, bro, like real talk. Like I've been cool this entire time.
I bring this out in Eddie. I bring it out. Like he just is always hostile. I'm here.
No,
I'm kidding.
No, when no, it's not you. Nobody brings it out. The thing is, I get frustrated when people they assume a certain position, and then when I tell something different, all of a sudden the problem is me or my understanding.
No, nobody.
No, that's fine. I would add that it could be the case that you have an understanding of the concepts that were intended to be conveyed better than most people who are reading them do. The problem is the views that you're proposing, they seem very unique to your kind of Christianity, like your take on Christianity. And I think I told you this the last time we talked when you taught me about what exclusivism and inclusivism are, and you're an inclusivist. That in itself was entirely new to me. I recognize that there are plenty of Christians who hold that view. I don't find that view to be compatible with my understanding of the Bible. Now, if you want to criticize me for not fully understanding the Bible because I haven't read it in more languages than I speak, then I think that you have your right to hold that criticism, but it seems to be a pretty unreasonable standard to hold. And when we're talking about an ancient translation that none of us, in a language none of us read, actually, I was kind of surprised Biddy seemed to have a really good understanding of Hebrew. That caught me off guard. That's why I was like kind of letting them go at it for a minute. I guess I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. It just doesn't seem like your views are consistent with either the majority of what Christians believe or what I read when I read the Bible. I'm not ruling out the possibility that you have an understanding that's more accurate than both of those, but to me, the more plausible explanation is that your understanding is less compatible.
Yeah, but you just admitted it's based on anecdotal evidence.
Right. All of us have to go off of experience to make conclusions, and we'll get more experiences as we go on, and that'll give us more experiences to make judgments based off of. But
anecdotal evidence is not real evidence. I mean, when we're talking statistically, we don't go off of anecdotal evidence. That's why it's considered fallacious, because there are actual real facts. And
all you need is the 5 minimal facts, except they're not facts, they're just assertions.
Can I please finish?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Man. So the thing is, when we're talking statistically, and you guys are talking about a view that's the minority, and then you argue with me and say it's my position, yet you haven't even looked at the statistics on it, I don't get how
Eddie,
I'm the one who's making the error here.
Eddie, when you say we are the minority, what do you mean by that?
You three.
I think he's in reference to our understanding of what it means.
Yeah. When you say we,
it's
when you say we,
it's a fundamentalist understanding of the scripture, which is a minority view.
Okay, according to who?
According to, first of all, statistics. Second of all, the history orthodox.
Do you have statistics that we can look at?
Okay, I mean,
oh yeah, I'll absolutely.
We can. I think that, and I was trying to make sure I was careful to avoid
Catholics right off the top. Just a number of Catholics right off the top totally nullify your position and argument, because there's far more Catholics than there are fundamentalists, and their doctrinal views are far different than anything that has been proposed here. So, I mean, we can just use Catholics. Then we can take the Eastern Orthodox Church. Then we can take the Anglican Church. Then we can take the Episcopalian Church. All of those are in contrary to every claim that's been made about the Bible so far today. So, I mean, that's enough statistics there. But on top of that, are you familiar with hermeneutics?
With who?
Hermeneutics.
It doesn't sound familiar.
All right, hermeneutics is a academic discipline that has a science to it of studying ancient scripture. So when I start not necessarily divine scripture, but ancient writings, period. So what you have to do is you have to employ several methods. You have to know the genre. What kind of book is it? You have to know the historical context, who the people are, what the social mores are, what the idioms are that they use, the metaphors. All of this are things you have to take into context when you're looking at ancient language. And that's all I've been saying the whole time. It's totally consistent with the academic area of hermeneutics. And that's the issue is fundamentalists, not necessarily you guys, but the ones that you've been exposed to have a faulty hermeneutic. They take what's called the literal principle, which was developed by Darby in the early 19th century. And it's something that was brought over here by the Puritans, and then the Moody Bible and Schofield Bible made it very, very popular. So their type of evangelism is a street evangelism, the tell everybody everywhere kind of thing. So they are the loudest. I agree 100% with Oz on that. They are the loudest. They are the most obnoxious because of the way they evangelize. Methodists, Lutherans, Presbyterians, Episcopalians, Catholics, Anglicans, none of these people evangelize like that. So that's why you don't hear these.
I wouldn't say Catholics don't.
No, they don't. They do it by medicine and by what do you call it, where they go out to other countries and stuff. That's how they do it. They provide food, water, medicine, things like that.
I think some of my local street preachers might beg to differ.
All right, so I just because I pulled this up.
I would challenge you to show me a street preacher that's Catholic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I pulled this
challenge
up.
accepted. I won't do it tonight, but I know we'll talk again, and I accept that challenge.
And Eddie, I'll send you Eddie, I'll send you this link in Skype here, because you and I have talked about this a couple times. But when we take out the Catholic Church, because they're going to dominate everybody.
No, Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Anglican, and Episcopalian.
Chill out. I got you. Just hold on. So when we take out the name a couple you just rattle off to make sure they're here on this list.
Eastern Orthodox, Catholic, Anglican, Episcopalian. Oh, they're not. Yeah, even Lutheran.
Yeah, Lutherans are there. The other ones, they're so far off the list, they're not even close. So when we take just the Catholic, that's it, just the Catholics off, your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17. That's about 17 out of the top 20 in population and growth in America since 2000. And let me get the date here.
In where?
Here, just in the U.S.
Okay, yeah, so you're excluding the rest of the world.
Well, I don't experience the rest of the world. I just experience what's here.
Well, whoa. So, oh my God. Okay, never mind. Okay. Okay.
But that's
we'll move along.
That's what we were talking about.
No, we were talking about Christianity, but
well, you kept talking.
If you want to move the goalpost, push it back to just America. Then.
Well, no, I mean you kept talking about us, so I'm talking about what applies to us.
Right, but I was the one charged with my own unique version. So when you exclude the rest of the world, which would overwhelmingly tip the scales to my unique version, then now we're talking about the U.S.
All right, so you guys chat for a second. I'll see if this breaks out into a global. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, I guess there was because I wouldn't have. I guess if I were to look at statistics and they were only in the United States, I would preface that by saying, like, okay, I'm just basing this off of what's in the U.S. because obviously, if you're talking to Christians in Denmark, they're much more likely to be versed in theology and to have studied Hebrew a little bit and stuff like that. So I guess I could understand the point that he's making there. I guess I see where Eddie's coming from in respect to feeling like the goalpost was shifted when and it's because I said something to the effect of his view being unique, and then he's saying that his view is kind of like more of the majority view, and then him and I were kind of talking about in respect to Christianity in the world, and then Oz, you started looking at statistics, and you were looking at statistics in the United States, which makes sense. I do see how that could come off as a shift of the goalpost if the beginning of the conversation was more in reference to Christianity as a whole. Because
not when I keep getting referred to as us.
No, I was talking specifically about you three up there and the claims that were being made and charges against me. So here's the numbers. There's only 36% Protestants in the entire world. Of those 36 Protestants, only the conservative, ultra-conservative Protestant churches are the ones that hold to a literal principle, which would be your Southern Baptists, Pentecostals, charismatics, and non-denominational. So we're talking about a statistical almost anomaly when we look at the ones that actually hold those kinds of views and approach Scripture that way. And that was my point about when we talk about or make general claims about Christianity, and we're talking about a version that is literally a statistical anomaly on the entire scope and map of Christianity, not just today, but historically. It's really, really spending a lot of time attacking an extreme minority version. So when somebody paints it as Christianity, it's so far from the truth of what it is that's why I keep pushing back on generalization.
So, yeah, I wouldn't push back on your claim that most of the people who interpret the Bible do so non-literally. I wouldn't push back on that at all. I think that for anyone like yourself who is a rational and, in my experience, rather decent person, these ideas are much more palatable if you're not taking them literally. And some things in the Bible actually are clearly meant as metaphors. There are parts of the Bible where it clearly a point is being made metaphorically here. There are other parts where that isn't so clear. And I think that if you're somebody like yourself who thinks about this, who is actually intelligent and decent enough to like want to rationalize this being the case, it almost seems like one of the most intelligent post-rationalizations I've ever heard. Not from you alone, from people who take this view of like, okay, but here's what it actually meant. And they seem to make it mean something that maybe it does genuinely just suit that understanding. But when I read the Bible, I like from my honest interpretation of it. And again, like, yes, you would be right to criticize me if I was saying that I understood whatever the people who wrote it originally were trying to convey. I'm not able to do that because I don't speak Hebrew. I haven't studied Hebrew. I'm interested in learning a little bit about ancient Hebrew to kind of better understand some of these things. But
I'd like to. Oh, go ahead. Finish.
Well, I was just going to say I don't disagree with Eddie when Eddie says that most people who go to interpret the Bible are not doing so literally. But I would also say that in defense of the people who do interpret it literally, even though they're the loudest and the worst people, the default way of interpreting any sentence is by what the words in it actually mean. And sometimes it is the case that isn't necessarily what we're supposed to do, but an all-knowing being would know how it would be misunderstood. And I have a bit of a problem with that.
So that's fine. That's your personal reservations, but, and not to beat a dead horse, but just for a little bit of insight, the Catholic Church, all the different Catholic churches, the Eastern Orthodox Church, I'm pretty sure the Episcopalian, and I believe the Anglican and quite a few others do not hold to sola scriptura. They do not believe that the Bible is inerrant. And there's actually a fourfold method which has been employed since the beginning days of the Apostolic Church to interpret the Bible. And when we say that if we just take a reading of, the English version or translation of it, and to argue that that's what this means, when we're talking about an ancient language just because it's been translated into English, is to undermine the entire academic field of hermeneutics. I mean, there is a method, there is a science to approaching it. So Eddie, we have to understand.
Hey, Eddie, real quick, and I have like two or three other people calling, so I don't want to push you out, but I do want to ask just one last question. Just yes, just simple yes or no. If I asked you to be a devout Catholic tomorrow, would you do it?
Would do what now?
If I asked you to be a devout Catholic tomorrow and follow the book and the teachings according to their dogma, their doctrines, their theology, would you do it?
No.
Okay.
I line. Well, just real quick, I line up with their approach to scripture and interpretation. I deny their allegiance to the Pope and their idea of sacraments. That's the only reason why.
Okay. All right. Well,
All right.
as always, Eddie, we
Yeah,
love you.
I'll get off there because other people waiting. And Biddy, the second word that's used there is ish.
It's Isar, and that's woman. But yep.
Oh,
The question.
No, there are two words. Ish is the second word in Hebrew that is used for male. Look it up. Look it up in the Hebrew. You have zakar and you have ish. They don't
Okay.
use the same male
Thanks,
word.
Eddie.
All right, peace out.
All right, take care. I did have more questions, but I knew we needed to wrap up, so I could catch up with Eddie later.
Yeah, there's a big question in the comments. No, I am not a Buddhist. That's just the name of my dog.
That's a fair. It's funny because you named your dog and then you named your channel after your dog, or did your dog already have that name?
I couldn't remember the name or my password to my old TikTok, which I didn't make content, and then I started making content and then exploded, and so Biddy Buddha is my name.
Okay.
Unintentional.
So I guess the question that I will get around to asking Eddie the next time we talk, because Eddie and I always have great conversations, but a question that I guess I want to pose to the people listening is, if I write something and I want people to understand it, and a lot of people interpret it as hate speech and go literally commit violent hate crimes, am I not responsible for those people going and committing those violent hate crimes because I was actually trying to give them some metaphor for something else, but they actually thought I was saying to literally go do those things?
Yeah.
If I was aware in writing it that those would be the consequences, which if you're God, you know what misinterpretations, not only that it'll be misinterpreted, but how it'll be misinterpreted, and to know it and still convey it that way, it seems like it would follow that you would be responsible for it.
Yeah.
And my guess is any response that I get to that from a theist would be a special pleading fallacy. And I could be definitely wrong about that, but that's my take. So.
All right. Where did Oz go? Is he not on here?
Who cares?
I am atheist, and I would consider myself an anti-theist towards the Abrahamic God. So, to answer native atheist's question. And agnostic kind of asks another question.
Yeah, agnostic is more of a knowledge term. So I think both of us would identify as agnostic atheists. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And to add a little more clarity to the agnosticism and atheism and the Gnosticism and theism, even if you believe there is no God, if you're not claiming you know it, if you're not making claims to knowledge, even that wouldn't be Gnostic atheism. It would still be agnostic. So I do say that there are specific gods that I know don't exist. I'm a spicy atheist. Fair enough. They're like, I've given the example before, like, do I know that the God of the Bible exists? Well, if it is true that the God of the Bible must necessarily be omnipotent and omnibenevolent, then I know it doesn't exist, because I know that suffering cannot coexist with an omnipotent, omnibenevolent being, be it God or a non-God. You know, you have those traits.
All right, you guys ready for one more? One last one?
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
All right. We have Sid. Sid is a Southern Baptist. He wants to know what we're about. Sid, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. You are live with Biddy, Shane the Skeptic, and Oz. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, watching the show, and don't be offended. You guys are young. I think you seem very nice. Now, that guy who was talking, he was angry, but he was making a lot of sense. And I think he studied a lot.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys study to learn about what's wrong, what you think is wrong with Christianity?
I have a long answer. Do you guys want to go first?
No, go.
Okay.
I have a short answer.
Yeah, you go first.
Yes, I do. I was a Christian for 30 years, and I do more studying now than I did as a Christian.
And I actually teach the Bible as an atheist, so I don't teach the negativity parts or the things that are controversial per se. That was never my. I just learned it from being in it for so long.
All right. As for me, I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with something called epistemology, a branch of philosophy?
No, I don't know. I don't.
So epistemology is the branch of philosophy associated with how we come to know what we know and how we arrive at beliefs and conclusions. And I've finished an entire textbook on epistemology. I'm currently reading another book called What is Knowledge, which is about the same thing. I have watched more lectures about epistemology that I can tell you. There are entire series of lectures that I've watched more than once. I have read Bible verses in numerous translations. I think it's a fair assessment to say I am someone who puts a lot of thought into what I know, how I come to know it. What is it that other people think? I make a great effort not to misrepresent people. I understand that Christians have very different views. If you talk to a Southern Baptist, and then if you talk to someone who is a Methodist, you're going to get very different answers to some of the same questions. I'm aware of that. I'm not offended about the statement about, you guys are young. I don't know how old either of them are. I'm 23 years old, so you wouldn't be mistaken if you said like, oh, you're young. I am young, and as a result of that, I haven't had as much time to gain wisdom as Eddie has. There are going to be multiple fields where Eddie is significantly intelligence and wisdom are two separate things. Eddie may very well be more wise than I am on multiple things. Intelligence is another question, another story. You would probably be at least justified in your assessment that Eddie's probably wiser than I am.
I didn't know how young Shane was.
I'm only 24.
Sit.
You must have went to high school with me. There were all kinds of kids that looked a little bit
Oh,
a little bit older. You're a narc. Oh, this is a narc, everyone. There's the takeaway. I'm sorry, Sid. What was the next thing you wanted to say?
Well, I remember when I didn't want to believe anymore, and we all go through that. We all go through that, especially when you're young.
Well, I actually, if it's true, I do want to believe it. Anything that's true, I want to believe. So if it is the case that I'm wrong, I would like to find that out.
Well, you say that, but we all know that there's a God.
Okay, so you're kind of pretending to know more about what I'm thinking than I do. Do you really think that you're justified in saying that you have a better understanding of what I believe or what I know than I do?
I don't know what you know.
Yes, you don't know what I know, so you don't know if I know of a God. Even if you know about a God, you don't know whether or not I know it. You can't.
I know, even if you haven't gone to medical school, I know you have a heart. And
Correct.
even if you don't know you have a heart, I know you have a heart.
Right.
And I don't need the Bible says that everybody knows.
Okay, the Bible says that, but I'm saying I don't know. So who do you think is you have a book that says I know something. I'm telling you I don't know it. What do you think is a more accurate way to arrive at what I know when I'm telling you I don't know something and you're asserting that I do simply because some book says that everyone knows?
I think you're angry.
I'm not angry. I went through an angry phase. I'm actually I'm having a good night tonight. So,
well, and
Sid,
you weren't.
Sid, I have
like
to
that.
stop you. Sid, I have to stop you there. That's
Bulverism is what that's called.
yeah, that's one of my pet peeves. Have you ever been inside my brain? Do you know exactly how I think or how I feel?
No, sir.
Okay, so how would you ever assume or even attempt to assert that either Shane, Biddy, or myself are angry? How would you know that?
I don't. And that man on earlier wasn't. He seemed he was angry. I think he was angry.
Well, I actually know Eddie.
He's a good friend of ours. I would use the word frustrated. I don't think angry. I wouldn't use that word. I'm not going to hold anyone else to whether that,
Yeah, Eddie, that's not what you heard there is not angry. I know angry Eddie. And that's not, that is passionate and frustrated Eddie, and he has every right to be those things. But we're not talking about Eddie right now. So I'm not going to let you get off the hook with your assertion. You asserted that you think that either Shane, Biddy, or myself could be or may be angry simply because we hold a position that we lack a belief or we have an absence of a belief. So what I want to know is how you know the way we feel, or if we're angry or mad.
Well, I'm going to ask this. If you're not angry, then why do you, I don't want to say hate, because I you're right. I don't see it in your heart, but you don't. Why can't you let people believe?
Okay, well hold on. No, I'm gonna stop you there.
It's true.
No, no. See, stop there. So what you just tried to do is, and I'm very familiar with the tactic. You tried to answer my question with a question, and I'm a little too smart for that. So I still have a question that was asked that you haven't answered yet. How could you ever know whether Shane, Biddy, or myself are angry at a God?
Well, his question might be an attempt to demonstrate that we are. Is that a fair thing to say, Sid? Do you think that question would demonstrate that we're angry?
Well, Shane, I let it go.
No,
yeah. That's where we're going, but that's not what it was.
Thank you. No, I think Oz is right. I can't know, but if you don't believe, something has to have happened that hurt you, so that you say you're not going to believe anymore, and it's okay. This happens in life to all of us, and I was there.
Okay, so Sid, before we go, because we do have to wrap it up here in a minute, but
I have a question. Oz, have you ever trolled anyone?
I knew this was going to be a troll. I knew it.
Did you troll a guy, Nicholas Sada, earlier today by any chance?
I don't even. I don't know anybody by that name.
See, I was
$400 suitor guy.
I know a Nick that bought a suit jacket from a Goodwill and claims that it's like a $300 or $400 suit. But I don't know a Nicholas. I don't know a Nicholas.
You're a troll,
I hope you recorded that sound bit.
And if you're going to come on to his show and call in and troll him, you might find out that there's a wheel on, and it all comes around.
Great job.
I actually figured, like, initially when he started talking, I was like, this is a troll. And then we started talking, and I was like, I don't have sufficient reason to arrive at that belief. I'm going to be open to the idea that I'm being trolled, but just continuing the conversation, see where it goes. And his dialogue was resemblant of people who really believe. So I thought I'll just apply Occam's razor and go with that.
The shakiness of the voice, like it felt put on.
Yes.
But the argument was good. It's like, okay, I don't want to be the asshole. It's like, hey, just you fucking troll.
Yeah. And also some people just sound like they're not being serious when they are. And I was like, I don't have sufficient grounds to accuse them of trolling. I was open to, at first I was like, prank call. And I was like, this could just be some old Southerner who's like, look, guys.
So do we have Nick online with us right now?
Yes, sir.
Great job, bro. Great job.
Nick is my favorite.
Hold on. This deserves the actual. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Oh, okay.
Great job. You did way better than I did.
I thought about trolling this show, but I can't do a good fake voice, so I don't.
Why does anybody have to do a fake voice? Like every troll is always like, "Hey, I'm a sir."
No, because if I call in and start presenting arguments to Oz is going to know it's me. It doesn't matter what number I'm calling from. He's going to know it's me.
I suppose.
Yeah, we talk too much. There's some people like you talk to them too much. You're like, no, I already know your shit, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
Oz had me, and then I was just like, that it was just too vanilla, and I'm sitting there going, and then Titan had DM'd me and said, "Oh, you got a call coming," and it's just like you'd think it would register. Like, how did he know I got a call coming? Right? I was like, know what?
God damn it, Titan.
No, it was just because he had said that. Yeah, he said call. He said there's a call coming in the thing, and I was like, son of a. I should have. Yeah. So turn around, fair play, boyo.
You got me. And yours was way better than mine. I always concede defeat. Yours was way better than mine.
It was convincing.
It was fun. It was fun. All right. Well, there you go. Yeah. That's what happens.
You sounded like one of them dirty, raspy Southern Baptist, like hardcore, like I told my wife I'm a mute her like a GPS motherfucker.
Oh, I was trying to figure out how far I was going to go with this thing too, but I was just like, I don't have time.
I'm like, this guy's about to start grabbing some fucking snuff, chewing tobacco in the middle of this conversation.
He sounded like 90. I was afraid he was going to die right on.
Well, I was too. I was like, if anyone asked about the voice, I was like, I've got COPD, but it's okay. They got the cancer. But that's why I believe. Don't you understand? Because when your life has been touched, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you use it. You sound like you straight up sound like one of them old, dirty, nasty Southern Baptist some of my bitches.
Well, it was easier than like a 21-year-old female. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to realize.
I would love that. Let's do that one. Let's reenact it.
No. You get one a night, buddy.
You're such a tease, Nick. You're such a tease.
Oh yeah. Well, now I know I'm gonna have to keep an eye out, and now I'm gonna be trolling you like. Things are awfully quiet down on the Oz show there. I think I'm going to have to go in and say hi.
You are always welcome.
All right. Well, I'm going to go, but thank you guys so much, and thanks for having us in the humor about it. I'll catch up with you guys later.
Thanks, Sid.
It's Sid Dithers. Actually, the full name is Sid Dithers. He's been around for a while. I'll catch up with you later. All right, bye.
Oh, man. All right, we got a super sticker here, and then we'll bounce up out of here, y'all. Patrick, thank you so much for the $3 super sticker. And yeah, Eddie, no matter how heated we get on here, bro, we got your back. And Nate ain't lying right here. Watch out, Nick. Oz's hatred knows no boundaries. Savage. I'm a savage.
Okay, I'm not gonna name anyone. All I'm gonna say is, chat, don't be a dick to Eddie. All right, that's all.
Oh, who was it? I'll call him out.
Let's see. Klaus something says Eddie needs his meds. That's not cool.
Yeah, Klaus Balder.
Yeah.
We just like kicked a band. 2 people for talking about mental health and meds and all that shit last week.
Yeah, don't be a dick, dude.
We appreciate you being here, but for real, we don't fuck with that shit. Oh, we got another one. The Blazing Wizard Pope, DKK, $20 and whatever this were from where the Blazing Wizard Pope's from. I don't know what that means in US dollars, but thank you.
Super chat.
Thank you. And Mike says, Oz, Biddy, Shane, another great show. Thank you. And if you haven't already, like the callers have said, make sure you go smash the like button, smash the subscribe.
Yeah. Oh, cool! From my last video, I could shamelessly self promote. Go subscribe to my shit too. Or wait, no, that's not even YouTube. Okay, wrong one. Fuck my Patreon. You don't need to donate nothing. I wasn't even trying to ask for money. I don't need money. I'm fine. My point is go subscribe and like. Just do that. I'm an idiot. I should have looked at the sign before I showed it. I could have had a weird drawing on there or something.
I was about to give you a chance to plug there, brother.
Oh, well.
And look, Nate always trying to be sassy. Nate, I was going to do it after Viddy and Shane. So cool the jets, bruh. Oh, no super chat. Phone 99 from Brute Facts Podcast, and that is from the one and only Sweaty Eddie, the creme de la creme.
I'm gonna vouch for what he says. I have that trait as well. I could come off as angry. Like if we're having a conversation that's philosophical and I get really excited, it's like if we're in a topic that I'm like really into, like the problem of suffering or something, or if we're talking about, something I'm well versed in, like epistemology, you might see my mannerisms and my the way that I'm carrying myself, my voice, my tone. I might start coming off as angry, but it's really like I'm excited and frustrated. The mix of frustrated and excited can make it seem like you are really angry, but no, if I was able to grab a drink with Eddie after this stream, I would do so. So
I would buy Eddie a drink or 4 or 8.
I don't like him that much. Fuck you, Eddie.
Yeah.
No, I'd get some rounds for sure. Yeah.
All right. So before we shill and bow out here, please don't take my passion and excitability as anger. I apologize. I get excited like that. It's just my personality, and I'm trying to work on it. And you know what, bro? You know what? It's all good.
We'll work on it together, my friend.
We all got shit to get better at. You ain't the only.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, I am not Jesus Christ. You know how I know that? Because that motherfucker's a myth. Isaiah Wilson for $2. Hello, Oz, a fellow atheist. How's everyone tonight? Chilling. We're doing good. We're about to sign off here. We've had an interesting evening.
Yes. And I'm glad I haven't done a call-in show. It's been a year now, I think. So, yeah, I haven't done a call-in show since I was on AXB, and I miss taking calls. I had a few thousand people saying I was good at it, so I'm like, cool. And then I didn't have any more opportunities to do so. So, yeah, I've had a great time for sure. Awesome. And I felt like, especially for a while you were gone, Oz, I felt like Biddy and I made a pretty good team because we started talking about it's good when we had things that I was more well versed in, but then it came to like the Hebrew translations and stuff, and I don't know shit about that. And then
it never mattered though, because Eddie knows best.
No, but the point that I would make is like it's good to have two people who aren't knowledgeable in the same areas, because then it's it's harder for anyone to stop talking. As to where I found a point where I was like, hold on, I want to shut the fuck up. I want to listen to this, Yeah, that's been a great stream.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, most shows go better once I leave. So
yep.
Poor Oz.
Makes sense.
That's why some shows I'm like, I'm just gonna be in the background and listen. I'm probably better off here. And great segue. Hey Oz, this is Sky, your Australian bipolar buddy. Thank you, Sky. I needed that right about that moment. I'm here to prop you up if you're here to prop me up, because I just got kicked off my own show. So, no, but before we go here, Shane, thank you for hanging out with us tonight and taking calls with us tonight. As always, you kicked ass, but tell everybody about your channel, where they can find you.
Yeah, you know what? I'll use the whiteboard that I used earlier. My YouTube and Facebook are the same thing as my Patreon. Shane the Skeptic, if you want to support me on Patreon or you want to make a one-time donation, you can do it 123shaneisme@gmail.com. I came up with that email address when I was 10. That's why it's so cringy. And yeah, if you could check out my YouTube channel, I just recently started on an epistemology series. It's like somewhat of a lecture series. I'm really making an effort, since I'm somebody who reads textbooks and regular books, you know, old philosophical texts about philosophy. I'm trying to break them down and make them more palatable for more people, because there are some concepts that I read and I'm like, okay, this is something you don't get into in contemporary epistemology, only in advanced, but I feel like it should be the first thing you learn. So I'm trying to make philosophy more palatable for people. So go check me out if you want to see some of my stuff.
I'm going to go check it out. I need
Awesome.
philosophy for dummies. I started watching Crash Course, and then I ended up in an existential crisis.
I finished the entire Crash Course philosophy course twice. And that was actually kind of my introduction to philosophy. That was before I started reading. 18-year-old me would be shocked to hear me talking about reading and shit. Like, seriously. But no, that was what started. It was just Crash Course, finished those courses, and you know, just kept getting more and more into the ideas from there. And yeah, no, I make an effort to make things as palatable as possible, because we could benefit from understanding, you know, concepts about things like epistemology. So
100%.
Word up. And real quick before we get to Biddy here, where to go? There's a very important announcement, and I thought by now Nate would be in bed for this, but Shane is actually taking Nate's spot on the Monday night Collins show. He didn't know that. He didn't know that until right now.
I'm usually off. I'm off every Monday. That's like the one day of the week I am like always off on. So
yep. Well,
what a way to find out. I'm just kidding.
And it really sucks, because on Wednesday night during his show, Nate found out he lost his Wednesday night show too. So this is a get through.
I have to correct someone in the chat. Frustrated Atheist said, you know, quoting me, 18-year-old me would have been shocked at reading. Shane, that was like 2 years ago. Actually, it was 5 years ago. I'll have you know. So
how old were you on ACA?
Everything you've seen me do with the ACA, I was 22 at that time.
Crazy.
Yep. I remember seeing you on there when I first was going through my
same.
I would like to. I hope that I had something to do with you guys' deconversion process.
You know, we can talk about this later.
Yeah, and I know I probably couldn't have been, but yeah, no, I'm interested to see like if there was anything that any part that I had in it, that'd be dope. But yeah, for another time.
We can, because there actually is a couple episodes with you and Matt, and then you and I want to say it was Tracy.
I never collabed with Tracy, which sucks, because the first time I met her, I was a total fangirl and got like a selfie with her and shit. And then
it was one of the ladies on there. I feel like episode 2. I could be wrong. It might be something else I'm thinking about. But anyway, great show, everyone. Atheist Mama Bear said, and then Grumps gave us a $2 super chat. Mute Oz. That's very. And even though like
I'm so slow, I didn't get it for a second. Then I was like, "Oh, that's pretty good."
I liked it.
And last one, great job to everyone. Thanks, Patrick. Patrick's always out here hanging out with us, and we're not doing it tonight. It's too late, but Patrick's usually in the Discord hanging out. But Biddy Buddha, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Biddy Buddha. You can find me on Twitter at Biddy Buddha. And then on Sunday, I have a show on Alternate Media where we'll be talking about the Bible. And then on Tuesday, and then Monday nights here. And Tuesday, I'll be on Neil the 604 Atheist, where I'll be sharing my deconversion or deconstruction story kind of in detail. Here's hoping I don't disassociate.
I do want to give a shout out to Neil's show. I do feel bad. I've seen in a few streams that I've been on Neil saying something about like, damn, you need to get on my show. Maybe in an after party. I guess one of the problems that I have, and this much I'm okay with saying, I'm comfortable with saying publicly, but my deconversion took place at a time in my life that involved a lot of trauma that didn't have to do necessarily with the religious and deconverting aspect. But everything between like 14 and 18 or early 17, I have a pretty hard time opening up about, and I'm probably not going to do so on a live stream. I could say that much. I'm, genuinely a pretty open book, but I will say that that's why I haven't been on that show yet. But I would like to help plug it to make up for not being on, and say, go check out Neil the 604 Atheist and listen to people talk about deconverting, look for the similarities in their stories, and see what you can learn about this thing that is deconversion.
Sid should definitely tune in to that.
Yeah.
God damn it, Sid. No, I guess I'll work backwards here. So, yeah, Biddy will be on with Neil. What Tuesday you said?
Tuesday, he's like California time, so I think it's 5 p.m. California time.
Okay. And then on the 11th of June, so we're skipping ahead a little bit. We'll work backwards. Neil, the 604 Atheist, will be with the Atheist Network Group on our next edition of Whiskey, Scotch, and Cigars. And
that's probably my favorite show.
When
everyone's just shit-faced.
You want to be on? Is what you're saying?
Every time.
What night do you guys do that on?
It's usually once a month.
Okay.
We take the Eucharist, but with whiskey.
This one will have well, actually, Biddy's part of the, she's part of the team now, but so we'll have Biddy, but Neil the 604 Atheist will be with us, and then we try every single month to have the I think he's God incarnated.
That pipe sucks.
That would be Dave Warnock.
Yes.
If there is a God, his name is Dave Warnock. So he'll we try to make sure that he's with us each time, and then we have Captain Dadpool.
Captain.
He's a gangster. He's a gangster. But don't give him too much alcohol, because
he can't hang.
He goes not gangster. He goes not, and then we have Nate, and Nate thinks that he can drink, but he can't drink. Usually at the end of it, it's just Dave and I. Dave and I are like, oh, we're all lightweights here.
Where'd everybody go?
I have no explanation for my ability to handle liquor, and I'll prove my ability to do so when I join you guys. The only thing is, I for the life of me, I don't understand why I don't get shit faced at my weight. I'm less than 150 pounds, so you'd think that a few drinks would do it, but I tend to pound a few.
Yeah, I'm a little less than 100 pounds more than you, but I'm the same way. I can drink gallons of alcohol, and I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? What's up?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But real quick, the super chat, Eddie, thank you for reminding me. Carnadius.org on YouTube for philosophy.
I concur. So it's a good channel for philosophy. So I like how Eddie and I have studied so much of the same channels, books, lectures from the same teachers. I remember I was talking to him about a professor that I listened to, and his name was it was Peter Milliken, I think I mentioned, and he was just like, yeah, I know who that is. And there were just so many times where I'm like, okay, cool. It's that's one of the reasons I can converse with Eddie the way that I do, is not only are both of us well read and educated on this stuff, but we've watched the same channels and read some of the same authors and lectures from the same professors, and yeah, that's dope.
No, I'm very grateful that you and Eddie crush on each other. I think it's priceless. I think it's cute. And I hope
it's adorable. No, like I'm gonna say, like honestly, Eddie is the Christian friend that I have needed for some time, because a lot of the time I'm like, the Christians I would encounter in anything that I did was like, okay, show me the guys who know what they're talking about, and then I could have a good conversation. Because it's hard not to come off as condescending when you're well versed in epistemology and you're trying to explain to somebody how you do know things and how they don't, and how you can tell and explain and justify that. It's hard to come off. It's hard not to come off as just being condescending. But when you talk to somebody who shares that wisdom with you, you can go like, okay, and you could revisit a premise. We agreed on this, right? Yes. And then what the philosopher will do will bring up some other view that you hold and try to point out some contradiction or inconsistency. And yeah, no, it's great fun. I'm definitely thankful to TART or Tang, I should say, for connecting me with Eddie, because only more good conversations to come from here.
Abso-fucking-lutely. And this is from Nate, and then I'll give my last plug. Since Oz fired me on air tonight, you can find me at Crash the Party here on YouTube. And guess what? I already checked it. There's no such thing.
Wait a minute. How do you know there's no such thing?
I already searched it.
Okay, so you're saying that you searched it and you didn't find it, so therefore you know it doesn't exist. Doesn't that sound like you're kind of making the argument that the absence of evidence is the evidence?
Yep. Enough of that shit.
That was great. I was like, I gotta fuck with him. He just made a positive claim. Yeah.
So one last thing. Saturday. Tomorrow. So tomorrow we have Todd Newton on, and Nate's going to be hanging out with me for that interview. Todd Newton, if you don't know that name, or usually when I say it, people are like, oh, I feel like I know that name. And if you go and Google him, you'll research. Fucking Christ. You'll find out that he has hosted a bunch of game shows, and I think it was 2-3 years in a row that he won Game Show Host of the Year award. He's now a very successful podcaster, entertainer, author, and an outspoken atheist. And he invited me a couple months ago to be on his podcast, which was an honor. And he was like, man, I'd love to be on your show. And I was like, I fucking think it would be awesome if you were on our show. So he's going to be here with us hanging out tomorrow. It's going to be probably more comedy driven tomorrow night than anything. So we won't have what we did a couple nights ago where it was like, consciousness is God.
Did you see Shannon in the live chat?
Yes.
Holy shit. That was, I was there for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was dropping bows in there like
mm-hmm.
You don't know how to search those. Titan. That's coming from the person that tipped off the guy that I was trolling, and then you had him troll me.
I like Mama Bear's comment.
Well,
just 29 minutes. It's cool.
It happens.
Guys, let me tell you what I'm going to do the rest of the night here before we go. Yep, I'm going to read the rest of the comments as they just... No, I'm kidding. The last thing, go check out our merch shop. The link's been all in there, so I'm not even going to post it because I keep getting accused of taking too long. So I'm pulling up the video now to exit. Would you two like to say anything before I hit the video?
Fuck you, Oz.
Fuck you, Shane.
Turn it up. What up? Yeah. Grab your chair, put up a seat, yeah. Welcome to the Atheist Round Table. We just the dudes that you knew for poking holes in all these fables. Yeah. See, we're just some atheists that got questions like, why does God kill babies with cancer? Hopefully You can bring some answers. We'll sit back and take notes. Go ahead. Welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. Welcome to the Atheist Roundtable.